Now, it was not possible and not advisable to reunite the crowns of Brazil and Portugal. So, here you had a problem. Everybody wanted Pedro, but because he was already ruling Brazil, he was not considered an ideal candidate, and Miguel was actually had fallen out of favor with his father and was in exile in Austria, but someone needed to succeed to the throne. So, what Pedro did to in what he thought was an attempt to please everybody, he stayed on the throne in Brazil, he abdicated from the throne in Portugal and gave the crown to his daughter, who was then only 7 years old. This is Maria da Gloria. And he decreed that his brother, the uncle of Maria, should be the regent until she came of age, at which point she should also marry him. So, she should marry her own uncle to keep everything within the family. And so, Miguel returned from Austria under the pretext of obeying the orders, but the moment he came, he took the crown and he deposed this girl, and she was forced to spend many years in exile in various courts of Europe. So, because this was now a crisis, Pedro had to return from Brazil. He camped in Azores, formed an army, and to cut a long story short, he overthrew his own brother and reinstated his daughter on the throne. So, this news took a year to reach Goa, and by that time the decree was given to take away all the coins that had Dom Miguel on them and strike new coins with Dona Maria II. And all the churches and convents that had supported Miguel were closed down. The silver was confiscated, and initially it was only the profane silver, not the silver of the chalices and used for the sacrament. All this profane silver was taken and melted down to make currency, and later on even the sacred metal was melted down to make currency, because they must have had a crisis. So, I found this interesting. This is a little bit of history which I would not have known had I not gone down this road.
Pangia era pequeno bairro, não a cidade que é hoje. Em 1832 é elevada à capital e é nessa altura que todos os edifícios e escritórios que estavam em Velha Goa passam para aqui. E onde alojar as pessoas? Exatamente aqui, nas Fontainhas, o que os guias turísticos designam de quarteirão latino. E vamos aproveitar que estamos aqui e tirar umas fotografias. Que tal?
These were the first two places where the settlement began. Later it spread to other areas, including Kampal and the other places. But Fontainhas and São Tomé were one of the first few places. So, I think because everybody began to settle here, it assumed importance because a lot of the transactions must have happened in this area.
It was basically and purely a residential place, though a little bit of business could have happened like today. In today's colonies, in residential colonies, we do have a little bit of business. So, maybe earlier that place was a huge plantation of coconut trees. It became Fontainhas after degeneration of the name Font Phoenix. There was a carved out plaque of the phoenix bird on top of that spring. Today it is not there, but the degeneration of that word Font Phoenix became Fontainhas.
What is today the post office, which once was the stamp itself, I guess, the tobacco depot, and they must have seen a lot of trading there, because tobacco was once seen as a solution to Portuguese economic problems.
And tobacco was being sent from India to the European countries, or Portugal for that matter. Now, there was a place required to store it. And this building that was there, which was later on, which we today call as the General Post Office. Earlier, it also housed the police station, it housed the telegraph office. And at one time in the history, they stored tobacco. The main business that happened there was tobacco and spices. That's what the Europeans came to India for, were the spices and the tobacco.
There is also a record of a jail being not too far away from here. We know that the bazaar was over there, and that has moved now to the main bazaar in the Panjim, in central Panjim.
Panjim has got another very important aspect. it has the Kamr municipal or the Panjim municipality, which we today call as the corporation of the city of Panji. Incidentally, it is the first municipality which the Portuguese had instituted in 1512, 1515, between that time at Old Goa. They shifted, and that time it was the Senad. It became Kamr Municipal when it was shifted. It was called Kamr Municipal the Goa, and within another 3-4 years it became Kamr Municipal. So that is the first municipality of Asia. The other first that we have of Panjim is the causeway. Between Ribandar and Panjim, it was a very marshy land. Many people ask, what is this causeway? A causeway is something that is built, over a marshy land, where you have got marshy land on one side and the river on the other side. The Jesuits built that particular causeway, which connected Old Goa, Ribandar to Panjim. It had 40 arcs. And if you notice, we have seen the Pata bridge on one side and the Ribandar bridge on the other side. They are not simply bridges. The Jesuits, they constructed this causeway, which again is not in a straight line, it is at an angle, so that whenever the high waters came up and pushed against this wall, it did not put 100% pressure on the wall, but that angular direction allowed the water to move on the sides and then go inside the rivulets, which the Road Ore, what we call Ore Creek and the Ribandar Creek, so that the entire pressure would not come. That was what they decided. Now Portuguese had a very strict rule. You could not enter the city, any city, bare-chested. The farmers and all, they have the habit of just working without, they are used to working the same. So those people who are coming from Santa Cruz to sell their vegetables or whatever into Panjim with the big parties on their head, the baskets on their head, they would stop at that 4 pillars on those benches, put down their pate, and they had a big long gown. They would wear that gown, pick up their pate, sell their ware, come back over here, remove that, put it back inside and go back into their city. 10th of December 1952, the first big hotel that came into Panjim was Hotel Mandovi. I'll tell you a very exciting story about another hotel that was over here. Like I told you, there was a fort at Miramar Beach, and that beach was called as Praia Gaspar Dias. So how did that name turn from Gaspar Dias to Miramar Beach? Now there was a small hotel started by the Roncon family and Mr. Fernandez, Remo's father. And I still remember that hotel. It had a small wooden sopes outside, a small roof, and it had a house behind where the present Yatri Niwas is. And the credit for the name Miramar to this particular beach has to be given to the bus conductors of the local buses. Now what they would do is, when the bus was leaving Panjim, they would say near Hotel Miramar, near Hotel Miramar. And over a period of time, they started saying Miramar, Miramar, Miramar. So the whole name of that place became Miramar because of that one small hotel that was there. There is no particular theory by which the name has come, but the historians have given it two different names. One is Pancham Khari. The other historian said it is a Panchagani Kali. Kali means, a bud. Bud would be interpreted as tax that was collected by the Portuguese for the goods that went out by ship and came in. But I have my own version, and that version is not related to history, but it's related to the culture of our land. If you look at the name Panji, during Portuguese time it was called as Panji, then it was called as Panjim, then it was called as Panji now. But the local version of it is called a Ponje. And if you look at deeper into that particular word, Ponji in Konkani means great grandmother. Now I relate this particular thing to the fact that earlier there were big families, and there could have been a big, very aristocratic family in Panjim who had many daughters. I stand to be corrected, but they could have been married to different areas like Pernem, Valpoi, Samorde, Kankon, Margaon. So every year or every 2 years, when those daughters came back for delivery, like today we did not have that culture of the husband and wife traveling together. So anybody asking, where are you going? They would say that, they would not say they are going for the delivery, but they would say that they are going to the Ponji's place or the great grandmother's place. So over a period of time, when they saw the same person going for delivery to a place, they would say, you are going to Ponji, means you are going to your great grandmother. So over a period of time further down the line, it happened that any person coming to this area was thought of going to his Ponji's place or to a place called Ponji. So this is my version, and when I spoke about this to the late poet of Goa, Manohar Rai Sardesai, in fact, he appreciated that this was one way that we could look at it from the casual sense. We never know how far it would have been true.
Panjim cresceu, não há dúvida, há novas pontes, novos edifícios, mas são bairros como este que nos fazem acreditar que há coisas que não mudam e por alguma razão chamam os goeses de sossegado. Espero que tenham gostado de estar connosco, de visitar todos estes lugares e eu cá estarei consigo, como sempre, daqui a 15 dias. Este programa é patrocinado por Centro Cultural Comunicar.